trouble. No prescription for the sickness. Call me a fiend of the game 'cause I'm addicted. Chasing paper, you know I'm running with spread. By my business, you know I'm out to get it. Stay on my grizzly, killing competition. Killing competition. I want it all on focus. Let's go and get it. Go and get it. Said I'm focused, say let's go and get it.
All right, guys, it's Sunday night, so that means it's time for Sunday Night Spotlight. My name is Alex Iserman. I'll be your host. Basically, if you've never heard the show before, what we do basically is we bring on different MMA and boxers into the show, guys that are on their way up, that are destined for greatness, you know, future champions, if you will. Bring them on, and if you haven't heard of them, give you a chance to get to know them, find out a little bit about them so you can say you heard about them before they're huge. This week we have a great guest, and glad to get him on now because, you know, quite honestly, he's almost outgrown the show. So nice to get him on now because I think in a couple months we'll no longer be able to call him a future star. He'll be a current star. So tonight we're going to bring to you a 15-0 fighter, middleweight, training out here in Las Vegas, J. Leon Love. J. Leon, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking the time tonight, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, great having you on. Like I said, I think we're lucky to get you on now because we're calling you a prospect now, but I think another win or two, you're gonna elevate yourself to being called a contender instead of a prospect. You know, what are your thoughts on that? Do you consider yourself, right on the cusp of being a contender?
Man, I definitely see myself being a future contender, and my next fight or two. So, at the moment, I mean, we moving and taking the steps we're supposed to take. And, we'll get to that point when it comes. But I remember you just said that it's going to be hard to get me on the show. But, whenever you want me on the show, you definitely can let me on and have me on.
Well, no. What I mean is we'll have to transfer you to, you have to be on Jeff's show. But this show here is for the prospect and up-and-coming guy. That's what I mean there. You'll no longer qualify. We're going to boot you off. You're not going to boot us off because you'll be just too good for this show.
No problem.
All right, what we try to do here is we try to, like I said, not just talk about what's going on currently, but we try to, get the folks to know a little about your past and where you came from and all that kind of stuff. So let's just start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about growing up in Detroit and your childhood.
Oh, man, if I could change anything in my childhood, I wouldn't because it definitely made me who I am today. I grew up rough. I had a good mother. My mom was my mom and dad, so, I grew up rough, but I grew up in the streets of Detroit and Inkster, Michigan, which was like 15 minutes away from each other. But, I had, I've always been athletic, whether playing football, basketball, whatever it is. I was always trying to do something. But, I sought out boxing. I mean, I saw it on TV. It was actually an amateur show that was on TV. And from there, man, that was something that I always wanted to do. But I was fighting maybe 3 or 4 times a day in the streets, you know what I mean? And, people used to tell me, man, you need to do something with that. You can fight. And I used to always ignore it or, let it go in one ear and out the other. And here I am now boxing. It's something I've always wanted to do and I love to do.
Right. Well, we're pretty similar backgrounds because I, like you, I grew up with a mother, not a father, and not too far. I was in Walled Lake, so the same thing, those mean streets of Walled Lake, a little rougher than Easter, I'm sure. Out there, but Walled Lake we had it pretty tough. But who were some of the guys, the professional guys on TV that as a child you grew up and were fans of? I mean, obviously you're a little younger than catching Tommy Hearns at his heyday and that kind of stuff. So who were some of the guys that you first caught on TV and that were your fans of?
Well, I used to always watch HBO Sports, and I used to get to watch the documentaries and the old fights of Tommy Hearns and Marvin Hagler and things like that. So those are the guys I was looking at. But I used to like Zav Judah. Why? Because they had Zav Judah was the one with the grill. And, you know what I mean? He was younger. And Floyd Mayweather, the flashy guy. So those are the guys that I looked at. You know what I mean? And as time went on, Floyd Mayweather is the one that stood out the most.
Right. Well, now we'll get to that in a little bit as far as your association with Floyd and all that. But you don't strike me, and I see you quite a lot at the gym, and obviously you're part of the money team, and and Zab lives here in Vegas and that kind of stuff. But you don't strike me as a flashy guy. Is it just you like the style, but that doesn't quite fit into you, or am I just totally misreading you?
No, I'm not the flashy person. I don't think. I post nice things, and and I like nice things. But at the end of the day, I mean, if I do post it, it's all just a reminder. It's motivation for me. I mean, I like to see the nice things. Like I said, I get it. I'm around it all the time. So at the end of the day, I like to see those things. But flashy, not Jay Leon. I mean, I do it. I limit myself to the flashiness.
All right. Although I think you have one of the top 10 best names in boxing, flashy name, like we've talked about before, Jay Leon Love. That doesn't get too much better than that. Although Badu Jack, I think, probably has the coolest name in boxing. So two of you guys right there have. All right. You had mentioned, growing up fighting in the streets, but how did you actually get started in the boxing? What actually got you to the gym?
I had around the time that I started, my mom had met a man that I call my dad today, and he's came in my life, and I was always in and out of trouble. It was a given. If I left the house, I was gonna be in some type of trouble. So, he was the one that helped me out, calmed me down, and actually took me to a boxing gym, which was Crunk Boxing Gym in Detroit. And, we actually sat at the kitchen table and was talking. He's like, why do you like to fight so much, I just told him I was something I was good at. I mean, people respected me because I could fight, and he was like, well, it's pretty pointless if you can't make money from it or can't make a name for yourself doing it. And I felt I always was making a name in the street fighting, and it wasn't the right name, And so at the end of the day, he took me to Crunk Boxing Gym in Detroit, the original Crunk, and the rest is history, man. I went down and fell in love with the sport, and there was so many other great and talented young kids down there during the time, and I just fell in love with the sport and never stopped.
So what was that like going in there? I'm assuming you did well for yourself in the streets fighting, but it's a different thing when you put the gloves on. Obviously more skill and science involved in it. So when you first got in there, were you immediately one of the best ones there, or did you take your lumps before you got going? And
Oh no, I took a couple of lumps, most definitely. I mean, I took lumps from girls that was boxing. I took lumps, period. You know what I mean? So, it definitely was a lot harder than street fighting. I mean, it was a thinking thing. I would get mad when I got hit and rush in and get hit some more. So at the end of the day, I had to learn that, I got to take my time and think. But not only that, I just knew to fight, brawl, and just, so it kind of helped me a little bit. I had just a banger style. I was just a banger. That's all I did was just setting through punches. And so it was kind of exciting and things like that. But when I started learning some finesse and skill and putting some stuff into it, and I became a more of a boxer puncher after that.
Right. And once you got more focused on actually boxing instead of fighting on the streets, did you change as a person overall right then, or did you start cleaning up your act outside of the ring, or was that still something that took a while before you straightened yourself out?
I mean, it did take a little while, but eventually, you learn discipline. I mean, when you get into a sport and you get attention and things like that, you definitely, boxing teaches you discipline. That's just what it is, as far as the training, and it just made me a calmer person, I would think before I actually did things, At first I would just react without thinking, but then I started thinking, and like, man, I can punch this guy in the face, but then again, I can hurt myself or hurt him and get in some more trouble. Let me just relax and walk away from the situation. Or it's a lot of, in Detroit, it's too hard. It's kind of hard to walk away from the situation. So there was times that I did have to fight, but at the end of the day, I knew right from wrong, and it made me just think and know that I'm trying to make it somewhere, and these guys really don't understand. So I can sit around and fight with these guys and become nothing, or I can really sit down and think before I do things and become something from it.
Right. And what about other things growing up? Did you play other sports, baseball, football, that kind of thing, or what other things did you do to keep yourself busy growing up?
Oh, yeah. I played basketball. I played football, but those things, I just wasn't. It was cool, but the one-on-one combat was something else, man. I mean, I knew that, it's just me fighting. So at the end of the day, it's not a timeout. I can't sub, bring somebody in, whatever the case, it's just me. So I like that, man, and that was something that I fell in love with. So boxing really just took it from there.
Right. Well, now, how long was it before you started training so you actually started getting some amateur fights? I know you had a really impressive amateur resume. I think you were something like 115 or in 5 or something like that. Great record. So how did you get involved in amateur boxing and just explain a little how your career went there?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know. That's a very, very good record. I don't know. I think I have more losses than that in the amateur. I had over 100 fights, but I think I got that off of Wikipedia. So they're never wrong, right? They never put anything wrong. I don't know. I heard that before, and I was like, dang, 5 losses. I know I had more than 5 losses, but no. No, I had maybe about a total of 20 losses at the most, you know what I mean? 20. I fought all over the place in different countries and things like that, man. So, I had a lot of losses. But back to your question, around the age, I was 14 walking to the gym, but I trained a whole year with a man we used to call Old Man Walter Smith. He's like one of the oldest trainers down at the current gym during the time. I think he was about 90 years old. And he was just a mean old man, man. He was my trainer, and he used to always, I think I learned the discipline from him because I was one man I was afraid of. Because regardless of how good I did, he would tell me that wasn't good enough. You know what I mean? I used to be like, man, this man don't like me. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I used to catch the bus to the boxing gym, and I would forget something, maybe a hand wrap, a shoe, a towel, and he'd send me all the way home. You know what I mean? Send me all the way home. Did you bring your towel? Oh, man, I forgot my towel. All right, go home, man. Real fighters don't forget stuff, so go home. And that would be the end of it. So I learned the discipline from him. But, yeah, I was about 15 when I first had my first amateur fight. And from there, man, we was on a ball. We was fighting almost every weekend, twice a weekend. And we were just fighting all day long, and that's why I racked up so many fights.
And as far as not making it, I know you trained with some Olympians, I guess, for 2008, but how close did you come to actually making the Olympics? And as far as not making it, how did that affect you?
Yeah, I qualified for the trials and things, but I had to sit out because I was in that car accident that prohibited me from coming to the trials. So, it was just it hurt me for a long time, so I had gained back health and things like that and was able to come back to boxing. And I just had the opportunity to train with the team. So that was great. You know what I mean? It was something that the Olympics is something we all dream about as amateur fighters and things like that. That's like the first step, the Olympics, then turning pro, gold medal, the whole thing. So, I didn't get to fulfill that dream, but here I am fulfilling my professional dream now.
Right. So explain to us then how, what led to your decision to leave Detroit, come out to Vegas? I mean, obviously, you're in a great gym now, but you were at Kronk Gym there, obviously one of the most historic and famous boxing gyms ever. So what led to the move out here to Vegas?
Oh, man, somebody told me if you want to play soccer and you go to Brazil or the UK, that's where all the teams are. But if you want to box, you go to Las Vegas. And I've been coming to Las Vegas since I was younger to come to the fights. I've been to so many fights out here. Pacquiao Marquez, Mayweather Marquez. There's a whole bunch of different fights here in Vegas. So, it's something that, I love Las Vegas. I love the lights. I really didn't know too much about Las Vegas. I just knew, here's where the big fights was held, and this is where I wanted to fight one day. So, I had just saved my money. I had been involved in a few different camps, Margarito's camp, different things. I just saved my money up. And I knew I wanted to leave Detroit because at the end of the day, I mean, I love my city and where I'm from. And but sometimes you got to get out and you got to venture off to find your own niche and to make a name for yourself. And I felt that Vegas was where I needed to be. So I just took a gamble. It's kind of crazy. We looked online for apartments, and I didn't even have credit built up yet. I think I had a cell phone in my name, but obviously I knew somebody that knew how to write off some check stubs and stuff, right? So they helped me out. And they made a check stub. They made a couple checks out where it said that I made a ridiculous amount of money. You know what I mean? So my rent, I qualified for my apartment, and the rent was like, it was a very nice apartment, and the rent was like really cheap, and I could afford it. So I just took a gamble. I didn't know what it really looked like. I just seen some pictures online, sent my information in. I was qualified, hopped on a plane, came out to Vegas, and I was training at the Hit Factory when I first came out. When I first saw my apartment, I couldn't believe it. I was just with my fingers crossed before they opened up the door. Please be as nice as the pictures show on the internet. And when I opened up, man, it was like a castle to me. My first apartment, really, like my first real apartment. I had one before, but this one was my apartment. So it was a really nice apartment.
For our Vegas listeners, what cross street are you talking about? What area?
Well, it was near like Aliante, so it was really nice.
Holy, that's a long way out there.
Yeah, oh yeah. But then I didn't really know how far everything was from the strip, from the gyms, and man, I was in for a surprise because everything was like 20 to 30 minutes away from where I needed to be, where the gyms were located. You know what I mean? So I was training at the Hit Factory, putting in work there, and and eventually I got a call from the Mayweather camp to come for the Miguel Cotto training camp, and that's where I've been ever since.
Yeah, so expand on that a little, if you will. I was going to ask, my next question was how you got involved with the money team, but start right there. I mean, who contacted you? What, they wanted to come in to be a sparring partner there, or how'd that work?
Yeah, well, like I said, I was training at the Hit Factory, and we was just training there. I knew about Floyd Mayweather's boxing gym, but I just didn't know where it was and where it was located. So, we got the call from Boza Edwards, the works at the Mayweather boxing gym, former champion, and he called me and reached out and said, "Yo, how you doing, young man?" And I got a chance to see you fight and different things. Show me a lot of love or whatever. And he told me, "Well, we're interested in you coming down to the Mayweather boxing gym and joining the camp for Mayweather as a sparring partner." And eventually, at first I was kind of thinking like, man, I'm kind of big, I know Floyd fight at 147 pounds at the most, 154, but I'm bigger, way bigger than him. So, whatever. I'm not going to turn down the opportunity. I went, and, I was there as one of the chief sparring partners for Floyd. And, the rest is history, man. We put in some crazy work. I actually got to see how arguably one of the most greatest fighters to lace up the gloves actually trains and, to puts in the work. And, we put in the good work, and he was interested in me. And from there, I've been with Mayweather Promotions, Al Heyman, and the rest of the team.
Yeah. So how did that go the first time you get in there? I mean, you're an up-and-coming guy. You barely had any fights under your belt, and here you are sparring with Floyd Mayweather Jr. What was that like the first time you climbed in the ring with him to spar? Were you nervous, terrified? Looking to show how good you were? What were your emotions like?
Oh man, I wasn't really nervous. I think I was more anxious. You know what I mean? Because I was there all week, and we get paid. Here's it: you get paid every week. And Floyd Mayweather pays extremely well. And so, I was there Monday. He didn't use me. He used another guy. Tuesday, he used another guy. Wednesday, he used another guy. They would come right next to me, and they'd pick the guys that they wanted to use that for that day. And every day I would get ready. Get suited all the way up, man, to the headgear, laced up, mouthpiece in, and about to hop in the ring, and they wouldn't use me. So I'm thinking like, man, okay, when they gonna use me, and so for a whole week I haven't been sparring. I would hit the bag and do my regular training, but I wanted to stay sharp. Floyd Mayweather is as sharp as a tack. So at the end of the day, you want to be sharp when you get in there. So this particular day, I didn't even get ready. I was like, it's Friday, payday. I said, you know what? Yeah, he's not gonna use me. He's gonna use one of these other guys. So this day, I didn't even. As everybody got ready, I didn't get ready. I was like, whatever. I'm going to chill. I'm not going to get ready. I don't think he's going to use me. And sure enough, here they come. Here comes Brendan Ellerby. Yo, Jay, you up? So he's already ready in the ring. I'm getting ready. Now I'm rushing, going on hand wraps, going on whatever I can to get ready. And so we get in there, and he puts the clock for like 6 or 7 minutes long. And, I wasn't expecting that, but, I heard he does things like that. And I'm always in shape, but, at the end of the day, you never really get used to 7-minute rounds. I don't care who you are. It's just something, you gotta been doing that for a long time, man. And that's just something I wasn't used to. So we get in there, we put in good work, and I hit him with a jab. He hit me with 2 jabs. You know what I mean? And from there, we were just rumbling. We would go back and forth. It was really good work. But then, as the rounds went on, the longer they went, the more he would get off, and the better he would get. And I would be gassed out, tired after being in there for 5 minutes, for 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7-minute rounds. So, after a while, I was dead tired, and he was still fresh and going. You know what I mean? So, for anybody that I tell you, they have to get invited to a Mayweather camp. Just be prepared, because it definitely wasn't pretty. I've seen guys get stopped. I've seen guys get put down. It was definitely a great opportunity, but it wasn't easy.
Yeah, just real quick, expand that real quick. Floyd's legendary for the shape he's in, but just go over real quick, what you can share, just some of the things that that he goes through that other boxers normally don't, and the reason why he's his strength conditioning is so legendary.
Yeah, besides the rounds that I mentioned, sometimes this guy spark a full 10-minute round, and throw a fresh guy in and continue. You know what I mean? So I never seen that before. That's stuff that I add to my game, the dude just works hard all day. Never really sleeps. Just training all day. Hit the bag for an hour. Get on the pad for an hour. Hop back on the bag for an hour. When he's done, do some, do his regular workouts. Hop back on the mitts for an hour. Get on the bag for an hour. The man never really stops. And then throws on some running shoes, goes and hits the road for road work. You know what I mean? So, it's just nonstop, and I think what it is why he's so great. Because even though he's so successful in the sport, he trains like he's a bunk man. You know what I mean? That's all I say. He trains like he doesn't have nothing. So at the end of the day, a lot of guys can be content with where they at. Guys that are world champions, 2-time and 3-time world champions, pound for pound kings, making crazy, ridiculous amounts of money. But at the end of the day, he never stops, and he acts like that doesn't phase him. So I think that's what separates him from mine.
Yeah, and it's got to be hard for a guy that's got that much money, that much fame, and then all that to stay that hungry. When it's easier to do that when you have nothing and you're struggling to eat, but when you already have everything, it's got to be really hard and shows a lot. Like him or hate him, it shows a lot about his character and his his willingness to get in there and put in the work. Even at this stage of his life where he has seemingly everything.
Mm. Oh yeah, I agree, man. At the end of the day, I'm just absorbing and watching, and learning and adding all that to my game, because we all want to be successful in life, period. But, you can take those things and put them to your everyday living.
And then that's what I was going to say. How beneficial is that to you to be around someone not only that successful, but someone that works that hard, as an up-and-coming guy yourself? What does that provide for you, and as far as an example goes for what you want to be?
Oh, man, I want to be successful in and out of the ring. So at the end of the day, Floyd Mayweather is a genuine good guy. You know what I mean? A lot of people see him on TV and they have their own opinions about him, but I know him on a personal level, and the guy is a great individual. But I just try to take as much. You got to think, this man, we go out to eat, and he tips the whole staff. And when he tips maybe a $500 tip for just one person. So he changes lives every day. It helps people out every single day. And I think that's why he's so blessed, and, you just don't see those type of things. And I think that, not only that, just being a good guy, you see him donating money to different causes. The things behind the scene that people normally don't see. And you know what I mean? And I get to see it, it's different foundations that he has, for helping people out with you know, just different situations. He's always helping another person. So at the end of the day, I mean, he's very successful. I mean, the dude has a great skill set for boxing. But at the end of the day, it's what you do. You know, he's always keeping God first. You know, he always tells us, keep God first. You know, work hard. Don't lose sight of what you want or your goals and dreams. You know, and a lot of times he's always, you know, like I said, it is hard. It is hard. This man has so much money and so much fame, and it's very easy to get off track and get, you know, sidetrack or whatever for what you want. But at the end of the day, man, he doesn't stop. That's the thing. I think that's what I add to my living.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've been into the gym, you know, I guess for almost 2 years now, and I by certainly no means, you know, know him well. You know, we're not talking to each other on the phone, we're not hanging out and that kind of stuff. But I've been around him quite a few times, just from being in the gym. And you know, before I was in the gym, you know, I I'd say I had a negative opinion, but I only knew what I knew from the media. You know, and then the same thing, like you said. I mean, I don't see those, you know, firsthand examples, but you know, he's never been anything but nice to me. All the people in the gym are really nice and that kind of stuff. And you know, and I've come around too, you know, and I really see, you know, that what you necessarily get in the media is not a true indication of the guy that he is. And like I said, he's never been anything but a nice guy to me. And you know, and I agree, and I think it's a great example for up-and-coming guys like yourself and Badu and Luis and all the other guys to see, you know, someone like him and what he's doing.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on, get a little more current here. I want to kind of, in the last bit here, get up to where we are now. But the first thing I want to talk about really quickly was, you know, when Floyd and 50 had their breakup, were you worried at this point? What went on with you as far as the situation goes? And you know, it seemed like in the couple weeks after, the gym was a little dead. I was kind of, you know, I was kind of a little worried. I was like, man, how is this going to turn out? So what were your thoughts on the breakup? And you know, were you worried at all as far as you go? And then, you know, the overall situation with the money team.
You know, during that time, I didn't really know anything of it. I mean, I heard about different situations and things, but you know, until you hear it from the source's mouth or really knows what's going on, you know, people perceive and come up with their own whatever of what happened. I don't know. I still don't know. I just know that, you know, they fell apart or whatever the case. You know, they're no longer on that level of being friends or whatever. And, you know, it didn't affect me at all because at the end of the day, that was between Floyd Mayweather and 50 Cent, you know. So, you know, it didn't, you know, as far as the money team, I still wasn't even part of the money team. I was there, you know what I mean, just there. So, you know, it had nothing to do with me, you know. So, you know, I just stayed in my lane, you know, and played my position. You know, I didn't get involved. I didn't try to get involved. I didn't try to figure out what was going on. I mean, like I said, you know, my business is mine, their business is theirs. But, I mean, now look at it. It's not even a situation, really. I mean, 50 Cent ventured off and did his thing, and Floyd Mayweather is still doing his thing. So, I mean, people, you know, they say, you know, 50 Cent does his thing as far as in boxing now. He just had a show on ESPN with, you know, with his fighter Willie Dibb and a few others. And, you know, Floyd has us, you know, Mayweather Promotions. And I don't even think, you know, they're thinking about each other. And, you know, honestly, I mean, regardless of the fact.
So at what point did you actually sign with the money team then? I'm sorry, I was thinking that you were still part of it at that time. So when did you actually become an official member of the money team?
I mean, I was always involved with them, you know, even during the camp. But, you know, on papers, it wasn't even, I think, let me see. I had my first fight was on the Amir Khan undercard, and that was with, that was with Promotions and Golden Boy. So, you know, I can't remember that exact date, but that was the time right there. But it could have been even before, you know, it could have been before the 50 Cent and Floyd situation. But like I said, once again,
well, you had to fight with Selders in November of last year. Was that and then before that with Valenzuela was in September.
Yeah, but you know, like I said, that didn't have nothing to do with me. I mean, that was the situation, so it didn't affect me at all. I wasn't under contract with 50 Cent. You know what I mean? I was under contract with Al Heyman, and we were still working with Mayweather Promotions as well. So at the end of the day, you know, I was okay.
Well, and then like I said, kind of looked for a while that the gym was dead. I was a little worried. I was like, man, is this going to be bad? But then it just did a complete 180, and now the place is insane. Tell us about the gym. I mean, it's like everybody's in there. You have champions like the newly crowned Ishe Smith. John Pascal has been in there. You got, prospects like yourself and Badu. You got up-and-coming guys, amateurs and just barely turned pros like, Kevin Newman, Memphis Miller, Liddell Bellows, Luis Arias, those kind of guys. And heck, you even got MMA guys in there. You got Roy Nelson, King Mo, and those kinds of guys in there. So explain how crazy the gym's been here in the last couple months and what it's like being a part of all that.
Oh, it's crazy, man. I mean, it's really the doghouse. I mean, you got so many different champions, so many different former champions, so many different top prospects in different sports, MMA. You know what I mean? Like you said, King Mo. That's some guy. I wasn't into the MMA until I actually met King Mo, and from there we've been watching him ever since. And the dude is very talented. He just had his losses. But I mean, a great guy, man. A great guy. You learn a lot from him. We all joke around. Then you got John Pascal that just recently came down. A former champion.
Got there too.
Yeah. You got so many other champions and so many other former champions. The gym is packed with some of the best work. It's the doghouse. I mean, when you come down to our gym, you have some of the best sparring, some of the best work there possible. So at the end of the day, best southpaws, best right-handers. You got amateurs, some of the best amateurs down here. You know what I mean? Hassan Brown, Ladarius Miller, like you said, Kevin Newman, so many other different people, man. So at the end of the day, our gym is flaming hot right now, and I think it's a great scene.
So with all that talent in there, how competitive it is. I know a couple weeks ago I saw you sparring with his name's Semi, I believe, the one guy there. You guys got into it pretty hard. I know you spar with Badu a lot. What's it like? Are you guys out there trying to constantly upstage each other and look better, or a nice friendly rivalry, or how does that work?
You know what I mean? We always challenge each other. We can sit down and be talking junk about something else, not even pertaining to boxing. And somehow we'd get on the track of boxing, and we'd challenge somebody to, some sparring, whatever the case. You know what I mean? That's just how we get down. Me, Luis, Arias go at it all the time. You know what I mean? Some Badu, Jack, all of us, we all around the same weight, so we all get in there and go to war. And, Simi, the Russian, I don't really know his last name, but another guy that's always come down and put his good work with us. I think he's a junior middleweight or a middleweight prospect, one or the other, but good work. So, man, there's so many different guys. And, it's very competitive, man. We always trying to outdo the next person. So, I think that's what keeps us on top of that.
Not including yourself or Floyd, which boxer in the gym has the most natural talent? Just the one guy, not there right now or whatever, but just the most natural ability that if he harnesses it correct, that you think, the sky's the limit?
I don't know, man. I couldn't even answer that. I think all our guys down there are naturally talented. Like I said, you got amateurs that are touching up pros. We got Ladarius Miller. We always see him. We always throw him in there. With guys that are pro 10-0, 15-0, that come down from out of town, you know what I mean? And we throw him in there. He's an amateur, but he puts in work and smashes some of these 10-0 guys with ease. And you know what I mean? When they find out he's an amateur, they start laughing at it and don't believe it. And I think, like you said, you got Luis Arias now. He's 4-0 with 3 knockouts. Been boxing since he was a kid. Now here he is in the pro game doing his thing. Just stopped the guy yesterday at the Hard Rock on the undercard of Abril Sharif.
Yeah, and then Bulgaria.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, so he was there, showcasing his talent there. There's so many great fighters, man. It's hard to, you can't really single out one person with natural talent. I think everybody has natural talent down there.
Yeah, I know. You talk about Ladarius. He was sparring a couple days ago, sparring Don Moore, who's 16-0, I believe himself, and he was toying with him. And Moore's very talented, but Ladarius never had a pro fight, but he's in there, looking great. Like you said, just holding his own completely. And then we forgot to mention that I know Lydell Rhodes, another undefeated guy that trains down there. Has got a nice little record he's building up.
Yeah, we call Darius Miller the professional beater, man. That's what we do. All the pros, they come down and think they got it. You know, we see what they can do with the young boys. And it seems like Ladarius always comes out on top. Yeah, so I think that's natural talent right there. You know what I mean? That's it. Somebody that can just wake up, come to the gym, and touch up these guys and these pros that's been in there way longer than him. And you know, I think that's great talent right there.
Yep. All right. The last thing I want to touch on here, we'll just do is talk about your last fight here. First of all, you know, your original opponent was Bronco McCart. Actually, you know, you ended up taking on Derek Finley, who might not have the name because he's not a former world champion, but ultimately was probably a stiffer test for you. You know, at this point in his career, he's probably tougher than McCart would have been. So first, just explain the difference in you know, as far as the opponent change and how that affected you, you know, if at all.
The opponent change really didn't affect me. I mean, we had enough time to switch from southpaw to right hand. Bronco McCart, former champion, been in there with Winky Wright, so many different other guys that were great fighters. So, I mean, that was a test we were looking forward to. But when we found out he was injured, I asked, you know, Leonard, who's next above him, you know, on the rankings? And we came across Derek Finley's name, and we came across a few others. And I said, you know, let's get the Derek Finley guy, you know what I mean, who was ranked number 10 in the U.S. And I said, okay, let's get him. And I know that he just recently knocked out Ronald Hearns, you know, and beat another guy. But the fact is this was a strong guy. I mean, for Andre Ward, Andre Durrell, you know, top guys in the game. And wasn't stopped or whatever the case. I knew he would be tough, a rugged, a rough guy. You know what I mean? I knew that. So at the end of the day, I knew I needed that. I don't want to fight guys I can stop in 4 rounds or 5 rounds, and really, you know, dominate these dudes and not learn something from me. So I knew I needed something, you know, to challenge me. And Derek Finley was the guy that we picked. And not only that, I mean, we were fighting in our hometown, but a lot of these guys fight in their hometown for the first time and get a limit and knock them out in 1 or 2 rounds, and there you have it. But I wanted to put on the show, and I knew it was on Showtime. I knew, you know, people wanted to see me fight. At the end of the day, I knew this guy would make me fight, make me think, and bring the fight to me. So that's why we got him, and it was a good fight.
Right. And now, before the fight, there was some drama there at the press conference. You know, he's a big muscular dude. You know, I guess he's trying to intimidate you a little bit. Explain how that all went down at the press conference and the confrontation.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the tension levels was real high. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a cool dude. I'm not gonna fight you during a weigh-in or none of that stuff. At the end of the day, we can wait the next day and get paid for it. So I'm gonna keep it smooth. But at the end of the day, I mean, like I said, the tension levels was really high. You know, we did our face-off, and I guess he just snapped. He tried to grab me or grab my shirt to, like you said, to try to intimidate me. Obviously, I'm laughing. I'm not going to be intimidated by that. I mean, I can see too many buff guys go down easy, so I'm not going to be intimidated by that at all. But, you know, we share words. I let them know. You know, I understand that you're a tough guy, but this ain't going to be easy for you either. You know what I mean? I'm here to fight. I'm not worried about it. We're going to get it in. Let's make it happen.
Right. And then you know, and then you'd mentioned a little bit about how the fight went, but you know, just real quick, as far as, you know, the fight itself, like you said, you've never been past 8 rounds before, so this was a 10-round fight. You know, just explain going into the rounds you've never been in. Also, you know, you suffered a cut from a headbutt in the 9th round, I believe it was. So what was that like, fighting, having to, you know, not only worry about your strategy, but now you had something to worry about, you know, protecting an injury, you know, so it doesn't get worse and that kind of thing. So explain how the fight itself went down.
Oh, man, it was definitely a tough fight. It was, you know, one of my toughest fights in my career thus far. So, this dude was aggressive from round 1. You know, from round 1, he was trying to get in my chest. So, at the end of the day, I just kept my composure. You know what I mean? Kept stuck to my game plan, which is, you know, just box him on the outside. And eventually, you know, he caught on to me boxing, so, you know, we sat in the pocket and we fought with him. You know what I mean? People say he's a big puncher and things like that. I didn't feel it. The only time I really felt the punches was behind the head or something. But other than that, I mean, he was definitely a tough opponent. I mean, I knew this from the beginning. I knew he was very aggressive. You know, I knew that he knew that I could outbox him on the outside. So, you know, he had his game plan of trying to cut the ring off and pressure me and hope that I get tired, you know what I mean, during the later rounds. But at the end of the day, man, we work hard. We work hard in and out of the gym. We always running in the mountains, you know what I mean? So getting tired is not in our plan at all. So, you know, he put the pressure on, and, you know, he was successful with the pressure he put on, but we were able to cope with it and work through it, you know what I mean? And we came out with a victory. But, yeah, I suffered a headbutt in the ninth round. You know, I know that I've always told myself, if I get a cut, it's just going to make me fight harder, because that's always give a guy the momentum when he sees blood or whatever the case. So we're just going to turn it up from there. When I got the cut, we just turned it up. But I almost had him out in the fourth or fifth round. I had caught him with a good shot. But as a veteran that he is, he knew how to survive. And I didn't want to blow my load just trying to go crazy and get him out of there. So we just took our time and got back to the game plan. I mean, it was good because I got the rounds under my belt, my first 10 rounder. You know what I mean? And it was just a good show. I thought I put on a good show for the boxing fans and the viewers. And, you know, and Detroit came out. It was my hometown. It was a great support there. And I think it was just a good night of boxing, period.
Right. Well, and I think it shows a lot about your character. You know, I think most guys would, you know, when their first opponent falls through, you know, they're like, you know, and taking a short notice fight, they're just going to look for someone easy that they can, you know, they don't want to take any chances. They don't want to risk anything because, like I said, not having a lot of notice, you know, they're going to look for a quick way out. Unlike you know, you take you know, by far, at least on the resume, you know, the toughest challenger you've had yet. So I think that says a lot about your character and your willingness to get out there and improve.
No doubt, yeah.
So anyway, so you win that fight, on a roll, just like everybody. One other quick thing, you know, it's, you know, and again, you know, it seems to be the trend. All the money team there on the same card. You know, Badu Jack got a win against Mutan, I believe. You know, he took a step up, and then, you know, you're a hometown guy, but yet you train with Ishe Smith, who's a Las Vegas guy fighting a hometown guy. So what was it like him getting the win and kind of having the opposite? You know, you're rooting for him, but, you know, on your fight, the crowd's behind you, and in that fight, the crowd's against you, or, you know, against your team.
I mean, at the end of the day, I told Ishe before he got there, I said, look, man, regardless of how many boos you get, you know, you're not fighting the crowd, you're fighting, you know, K9. So, you know, don't leave nothing behind. Go out there and do what you do, man. Win, lose, or draw, you know, you put forth the best effort you possibly could, and you didn't leave nothing in that ring. And at the end of the day, you know, obviously he didn't leave nothing in the ring. He was victorious and won the title. And, I mean, it was legit. He won. I mean, at the end of the day, that was good. You know, it was a great night of boxing. You don't see too many exciting fights. You don't see, you don't see guys winning titles like that anymore, especially from where Ishe came from. You know what I mean? He came from the bottom of the sport and popped up at the top. And, you know, here he is now, standing tall. But it was a great night. I was happy to see it. I had worked, you know, side by side, you know, with him and running the whole 9 yards. So at the end of the day, to see him become victorious, man, it was definitely great. And then the other guys, Badu Jack, Luis Aries, all become successful and you know, advance in their career. So it was a good night of boxing, man. We were all happy. You know, everybody put on good performances. And I mean, you know, that just shows we are the future of the sport. You know, like I said, you got me, you got Luis Aries, Badu Jack, you know, Ishe Smith, and Ishe Smith is still running strong. I mean, now a world champion, and, you know, now he can defend his titles against whoever and go in with a bang. You know what I mean? And there you have it, the Mayweather promotion team.
Right. And then I think you'll be an answer to a trivia question forever, because I believe it was the first time that Floyd ever cornered somebody. What was that like? I mean, was that added pressure on you, or you know, was it different not hearing, you know, Roger's voice, and instead you got Floyd there? I mean, I know you work with him at the gym, so you hear him all the time, but what was that like? I mean, that had to have been a little different.
Oh man, it was a crazy opportunity. I mean, you don't get Floyd Mayweather in your corner. I mean, in the gym, he's always in the corner giving advice and stuff like that. But in the actual fight, I just, it was a great thing to have, man. I mean, he gave good instructions. I mean, he knows what I'm going through in each round. I mean, he's been there before. So at the end of the day, I don't think you can get any better cornerman in the game yet. Besides Floyd Mayweather.
Well, in your next fight, I guess you're looking to return May 4th on the undercard of Floyd and Guerrero, so I'm doubting that he's going to make your corner for that fight. I think he'll be otherwise occupied. But explain to that. I think that's going to be your biggest, your biggest venue yet, your biggest event to be a part of. How's your eye? Any worries about that being healed up in time? And just explain about being a part of that card and the opportunity that present.
Man, we taking care of the eye first for very well. I mean, it's healing very well, and I mean, it's like you said, it is my biggest venue. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's Mayweather's card. The whole world will be watching. I get the pay-per-view open up on the PPV. So at the end of the day. Yeah, actually, I don't think it's going to be on pay-per-view. I think I'll open it up. So I'm not sure what it is. I know he just signed his new deal. I'm not sure how it works or whatever the case. So, I'm just looking forward to getting in and putting on another good show.
All right, and as we wrap it up, what kind of opponent are you looking to face there? And we talked about you're almost to the contender status and can't be called a prospect. So how quickly going forward do you want to elevate, the level of your competition and where you think you're at right now?
Man, I mean, my confidence level is great. I mean, I just had a good victory with a big name, with a big name, a tough opponent. Then I showed that I can, I got the grit in the ground. I can fight through these tough fights, and so we go right back to it. You know what I mean? You can't go backwards. So we want another tough guy in there. You know what I mean? Another big name. So it doesn't really matter. I leave that up to my team, Al Heyman, Mayweather Promotions, Leonard Ellaby, and let them figure that out. But we just go from here, and I just continue to grind. I work harder than I did last camp, and we just keep going forward with it.
All right. And how do you see that Floyd and Guerrero fight playing out? I mean, obviously, I think I know who you think is going to win, but anything specifically you think we can look forward to?
I mean, Guerrero is not at the position he is for no reason. I mean, he just beat Andre Berto. It beat Andre Berto, too. He really beat him. So, I mean, he's a tough guy. Toughness doesn't get you anywhere too far in the sport, and sometimes it can hurt you. So, at the end of the day, man, I mean, Floyd is a technician. I think he'll, eventually break Robert Guerrero down and possibly stop him. So, it should be a good fight, though. I mean, it always is. I mean, Robert Guerrero always puts on a good performance. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm looking forward to a good one.
And very last question, there's like two teams down there at the Mayweather Boxing Club. You have the money team, and then it seems like just about every guy there is sponsored by Future Legend as well. Tell us about their involvement in you guys. I know they're behind yourself, Badu Jack, Linnell Bellows, Zach Cooper, all those guys. So tell us a little about their involvement.
Oh, man, well, you got a huge shout-out to Future Legend. We love them to death, man. They've been around now for a while, and they support us to death. They support almost the whole Mayweather Boxing Club. So they're good people out of New York, man. My man Frank, Charles, so many others, man. They're just good guys. So pretty much Future Legend, man, is just how you carry yourself. I mean, you can be a future legend in boxing, in golf, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So it's just how you carry yourself and how in your drive. People think future legend is about what you do in the sport of boxing. No, that's not it. I mean, future legend is involved in MMA. Future legend is involved in baseball, football, so many other sports. And I mean, it's just where you set yourself and where you want yourself to be in this life. I mean, at the end of the day, you only live once. And so it's what you do with your life and how you carry yourself. And we all want to be successful. We all want to, become something, whether it's in boxing, baseball, basketball, whatever. So, it's just, just carrying yourself and keeping God first and just, giving your all on whatever it is you do, So that's what Future Legend is about. And that's why they sponsor us, because we all work hard, man. We all challenge each other, but we all want the best for each other. So, shout out to Future Legend, and that's what we stand for.
Yeah, and like you said, I know they sponsor a bunch of baseball players. They're really heavily involved in MMA. I know Phil Baroni is part of the organization, as well as Paulie Malignaggi. They're heavily involved in Bellator. I think they got a couple champions over there now, so or at least one. But their guys are really racking up wins over there. So they're definitely on a roll and up and coming. And like you said, great people out of New York, and I got a chance to meet them a few weeks ago when they came out here. So great guys, and looking forward to more from them. But, as far as you go, just wrapping up, just tell the people anything else you want to add and where they can keep up with you on Twitter and, excuse me, and that kind of thing.
Okay. No, man, you can reach me on Twitter at JLEONLOVE, all together on Twitter. And same on Instagram at JLEONLOVE, and on Facebook at JLeon Love, J''Leon, last name Love, LOVE. Like I say, I appreciate all the fans of the sport, all the listeners. I appreciate doing the interviews. I love it all. I mean, at the end of the day, this is stuff that I dream about doing since the beginning. You know what I mean? Since I was first getting into the boxing. And here I am doing it, and people are starting to, know my name a little bit. And, it's just it's a blessing, and I thank God for it. I thank all the people that I'm surrounded by, and all the fans that write me every day, and just everything that comes with the sport, man. I mean, you get a lot of good and you get a lot of bad, but at the end of the day, you gotta love it all, because at the end of the day, I could be in different situations. I could be in jail. I could be, dead or whatever the case, but boxing saved my life, and I'm doing what I love, and I just appreciate all the support I'm getting.
Yeah, and it's great to hear guys like you that came up with tough situations and didn't let it get the better of them, and and instead turned out and did positive things with themselves. So it's great to hear your story. Glad the fans got the opportunity to hear where you came from. We can certainly look forward for much better things out of you. And this is going to be your one and only appearance. Like I said, I think you're no longer eligible for this show. So we'd love to have you back on the Jeff Mayweather show in the future to talk about it. But I think after this point, we'll no longer be able to call you a prospect. But best of luck to you, Jay Leon. We appreciate you spending the time, and we look forward to great things in the future. It looks like you've got everything lined up to reach the heights that you allow yourself to. You simply got your mind in the right place. We appreciate you taking the time and joining us tonight.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, man. Call me anytime for any show. It don't matter. Just let me know when.
All right, Jay Leon. I appreciate it, and take care.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, that was Jay Leon Love. Appreciate him taking time with us tonight. We'll be back next week. We're going to do MMA next week. We'll have a guest on for that show, so be sure to look out for that. It'll be next week also at 7 o'clock. So until then, we will talk to you later. Competition.